So, unique and weird video games. Tell us about them, mate. Hello? Anybody? Oh, hi there! Hello, welcome back to my channel. So, for today's video, we're going to be talking about unique and weird video games. So these are kind of video games that aren't, following the same footsteps as a lot of the mainstream games. Because you look at certain games, like first-person shooters, you've got Call of Duty, Battlefield, Halo, and then you've got third-person shooters like Gears of War, Uncharted, all those other kind of games. And, all games are kind of similar in their own way, in that particular genre. But there are other games that are just really, really different. And obviously, it's good to be different. So, today I'm going to be talking about some games that, are unique and obscure. Just because, there's a lot of them out there, for one. There's a lot of them in my collection. And I'm sure there's many more that I still don't own. But today, that's what we're going to be talking about. But first, as you've probably seen by the title, etc., I have a new console in amongst my retro cave. Well, it's not really a cave, it's more my lounge, but anyway. So, I managed to secure myself, finally, an Xbox One. So this is the version that I ended up getting. I will just put a disclaimer out there that this was delivered to me. I made a deal on the Facebook Marketplace. The person was very local, so no rules were broken. No rules were broken in the delivery of such package. Anyway, so this is the one I got. They did the factory reset it, so it was all nice to set up for me. Battlefield 1 isn't on there, but I'm a while off playing that yet. I've never played a Battlefield game. That's right, I said it. I have not played a Battlefield game. Call of Duty I have, but Battlefield no. It's not that Call of Duty was my preference, but it's just I've played Call of Duty. I've played all the Call of Duties, so other than Modern Warfare and Cold War. But anyway, so and I thought I might as well get this because it's been really hard because I really wanted to get a 1TB one. But it's just been really hard to find one, and CEX prices have gone up like twice since before December, so December last year, so it's just really difficult to try and pick one up. And especially with all the stuff going on in the world, it's been hard to kind of go and get one. So I found this one. It was only up on the Facebook Marketplace for 2 minutes, and I managed to pick it up. Now I know what some people are thinking. Why don't you just get an Xbox Series X? You've got the new gen console, and you can play the Xbox One games on it. Well, number one, I'm a retro collector for one. Well, player/collector. The point is, I'm going to be playing these consoles, so I'm quite a traditionalist as well, so what I'll do is I'll play the games that will fit for the consoles. So, Final Fantasy originated, from when I played Final Fantasy VII, obviously that's on the PlayStation, so I'm only going to play Final Fantasy on the PlayStation. It didn't come out on the originals didn't 7 and that didn't come out on the Xbox. So, that sounds really weird when you think about it, but for me that's just how I'm doing it. I was doing the same for Call of Duty as well, but I got Black Ops 3 and World War 2 on the PS4, so I kind of broke that, but it doesn't matter anyway. And also, it's just the price thing is the issue. People are still. It's still, the new gen consoles are still in high demand, and it's just trying to pick one up without just destroying yourself, because it's like, look at the stuff on some of the ones on the marketplace, and it's like you go, oh, buy this Xbox Series X for the retail price for double the retail price. No, we're not going to do that. So I'm just going to get. So I've got my Xbox One. I'm really happy. I installed Halo 5 on it yesterday. I'm really excited about that. Because what game are you going to start off with playing an Xbox One for the first time if it's not Halo 5? Obviously the Xbox One's been out for so many years now. But just like the PS4, I bought my PS4 in December 2019. And, my plan again was to buy the Xbox One December 2020. But, obviously couldn't get there and do that, so there was that, and now I've got one. I've been picking up the games gradually anyway, just because they're cheap and they're easy to get hold of. So You know, I'm obviously going to start with Halo because it's Halo. Nothing says Xbox quite like Halo, and vice versa. So, on to the obscure games. Now, obviously, you know, I've just picked a random few. Like, I haven't been specific and gone, oh, we're going to take one from each genre or something like that. So we're just going to go right into it with Guardians Crusade. Now, this was one of those games that, like, when I first heard of it, I researched it, and then I was like, oh, I actually like this, I'm going to get this. So, and the CEX I bought it from, the guy who served me was like, oh, this looks like a cross between Final Fantasy and Toy Story, and that was kind of like, does he know about the game, or is it just, you know, one of those things where just by looking at the back alone? But, you know, reading the back, you know, it says the Golden Tower, a majestic symbol of hope to the world, but behind its walls lurks a being that could destroy all. Evil forces are already in motion as the tower cries out for a hero. Now, destiny calls on you, a young knight charged with the care of a magical baby creature of mysterious origins. Prepare to face fantastic foes in a quest that leads to the cradle of all evil. So yeah, it does sound like it's a interesting little RPG adventure. Apparently it's made by the creators of Toshinden, so yeah, sounds like it could be good, so we'll keep an eye on that one. Next up we've got Terracon, or Terracon, whichever how you pronounce it. Now again, like when someone described this to me, they said it was Destroy Humans for the PS1, but that's not true at all, because again, I will quote, I quote, "The evil Terracon is mysteriously wiping out the galaxy planet by planet. As Zed, the toughest little alien ever hatched, you have to face the Terracon terror in the greatest adventure in the galaxy." So it's alien versus alien. It's not destroy humans, because you're not destroying humans at all. Apparently over 35 huge levels of action, exploration and puzzle solving. So fly an interplanetary dropship, cruising alien water, seize control of Terracon gun emplacements. So I mean, just looking at it all, it does seem like it's quite exciting. And again, I always look at the gameplay, because you know that is always a determining factor of if I'm going to buy a game. Next we have quite an underrated gem, and that's Oddworld Abe's Odyssey. Again, like, it's a game that, you know, it's when you think of the PS1, that's one of the first games that pops up in my head. Now, when I played this, I didn't actually complete it, sadly, because I got to the point where you have to save at least 50 Mudokons, and I only saved 40 something. And because obviously you can go back, because you get the bad ending, so if you go back, so where it puts you back, there's just still not enough Mudokons between there and the end for me to have done it. So I kind of went incomplete with it. Same like when I first played Phantom Menace on PS1. So again, you know, it's a nice little kind of 2.5D like adventure game. You know, I don't really know how else to describe it really, because I mean it's very sort of, it's again like this whole unique. It's the whole point. You know, it's very different. There's definitely a scary aspect. You know, trying to make, because again you can't defend yourself. You don't have any you can't fight. You know, you can take control of enemies, but that's if you know you're in the right environment. So I suppose that's what makes it unique, is that it's just different from all the other like 2.5D kind of adventure games or platformers or whatever, in its own unique way. But yeah, with Terracon and Guardians Crusade, you know, it's like with Guardians Crusade, it's an RPG, but it's a completely different RPG to, you know, normal kind of things. Really, when you think about them, because each Final Fantasy has its own, you know, story, its twist, its uniqueness. Final Fantasy 13 probably not, but anyway. So moving on, we have Shaolin. Now, for a fighting game, this is very, very different. So when I first played this, it was very sort of, I didn't know what to do, because you know it's kind of like a top-down, like bird's eye view of you and your character and the village you're in, and it's like, you know, you can engage in fights with people in that village, but it's like you end up sometimes facing 3 people at once. And when I first did that, like, which was actually the first fight I ever got into. It was like, how on earth do you do this? But when you play this game and you get through it, you feel like the Taken on 3 is actually, not only does it become easier, but it's actually really fun as well. But it's like, it's really cool because it's like, you know, you're going on this journey as a young kid who's growing up, and you know, and the choices you make in the game do affect it. So like, you know, how much you eat as well, it obviously changes your physique. It's like, it's a very interesting thing, especially for a PS1 era game, for a fighting game, and it's just like, it's very interesting when you think about it. But yeah, because I was ready to give up on this. Like, I put about an hour into it and I didn't make any progress, and I was like, right, I'm gonna get rid of it. But no, I stuck with it, and I was really happy I've completed it now, so it's fantastic. Emmis Shellshocked. I'm not going to say much about this other than, you know, it's a Crash Bandicoot version. Like, this is basically Crash Bandicoot, but with M&Ms and a much lower budget, etc. It was still enjoyable to a certain extent, but, you know, uniqueness, it's an M&M game because it's M&Ms. But anyway, probably not so much. Prism Chapter 1, The Dark Unicorn. Again, this is another one of those games that, like, quite a fantasy style game. Apparently the controls are very unique in the sense that when you're on the unicorn, like, you're having to use both thumbsticks in order to, like, I think it's either control and fight or something else, I don't know. I can't remember, but like, it's very unique in the sense that it's, you know, its controls are different, but then that's the same for a lot of games. But like, as a fantasy game, you know, you've got, apparently on the back it says, so there's 5 gargantuan bosses. Apparently he can cast at least 8 powerful spells as well. So yeah, I mean, again, like, just reading the back, because the thing is with a lot of these games, I haven't played them yet. So like, really, I probably should have waited to then, like, do it this way, to then, like, explain them. But again, like, just look at all the gameplay I've seen, etc., and the people I've heard talk about the game. You know, it's one of those really hidden gems that you just don't hear about. But apparently, like, the controls are quite hard to adapt to, so you know, so I'm hoping it's not that bad. Because I do like the look of it. I think it's a really interesting game. It really caught my attention. And we've got Giants Citizen Kabuto. Again, it's like, it kind of reminds me of that Alien vs Predator game, where you can play as the Marines, an alien, or a predator. So on this, you play as either the Kabuto, you play as the mechs, or the seductive Delphi, which is, by the looks of the back, is another character. And she's also a magician, apparently. She can cast spells, etc. But yeah, I mean, just again, it's one of those things where, that's the thing with the games, like, they take your eye if they're unique or if they're not unique, but at the same time, you look at them and you just go, well, you know, you'll take a shot in the dark. You know, this was about £2, I think. So it's, again, like, and it's by the, you know, it's looking like one of the older PS2 games, but that doesn't make it any, like, it doesn't make it bad. You know, I mean, it's just one of those things where, you know, everyone's gonna have their own opinion on games as they play them, etc. But yeah, you know, it's something that, again, just by looking at it, is just, sounds like it's going to be great to play. Because if a game doesn't sound like it's going to be good or doesn't look good, then you're not going to play it, are you? Last two here. Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. It's actually really funny just to say that. Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. Because, I mean, it's a very obscure thing in the sense that you kind of look at it and you go, well, does this cover look appealing? You know, what, like, a lot of games you kind of look at the front and you go, oh, you kind of can get what it's about. You know, look at, like, a Call of Duty, you think military shooter, and then you go, like, Sniper Elite, you think, oh, snipers. And then you think, Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. It's an egg. But no, it's a great little 3D platformer adventure game. You use eggs. And again, the little blurb is like, Billy Hatcher must use the powers of a legendary suit to conquer an evil king who seeks to rule with an everlasting night. Slightly mischievous, yet always cool, only Billy can return the light to the land. And obviously you use the egg. Because you use the egg to solve puzzles and to attack with. So again, it's a very interesting little thing. Made by the Sonic team, so that's pretty cool as well. But just again, it's just like one of those games that, it could just be a random adventure game where you think, you look at like something like Jak and Daxter in comparison with something like, I don't know, because it looks kind of Crash Twinsanity like, and then you kind of think, well, what game has an egg in it? Well, a guy with a suit with an egg that uses it thing. And so again, it's another weird thing, but it's all about like those kind of things, isn't it? Really, that's why they're unique. And the last game I'm going to talk about is probably my favourite one to talk about. It's definitely a game that when I first heard of it, I was kind of like, it was really interesting. It really took my eye because it was like, why? In what dimension is it good? How does it work? So it wasn't until I started playing it that I think, wow, now I get it, and it's cool. And that, of course, I'm talking about is Shadow of the Colossus. Now, this game is so great. It's one of those things where you think, oh, okay, so in order to save someone from death, you need to go out and kill 16 giant creatures. And then you think to yourself, oh, multiple boss battle. It just feels like a never-ending boss battle. And I think, not never-ending boss battle, but 16 different boss battles. And it's great because it's like not each one is not the same. So you'll have the first one is obviously walking. It's walking on 2 legs, and then the second one's walking on 4 legs, and then you've got ones that are a bit smaller, ones are a bit bigger. You have ones that fly, you'll have ones that are in water. It's like everything about this. Obviously, most people have already played this, so they know what I'm talking about. But it's just like fighting 16 different big creatures and having different ways to kind of go at them, and having stuff like the balance meter. Being able to how long you can hold on to them, as you're trying to straddle them in order to kill them by stabbing them in their weak spots. It's and just like Ico and The Last Guardian as well, who are all made by the same people. This in itself is just a take on something completely different, something that's really unique, quite weird when you think about it, but unique. And that's what really shines through this game, and I really love it. I haven't finished it yet, but I really do. But it's on my playthroughs at the moment, so I'm one, two. So it's like the 4th game in so far. So I can't wait to play this and finish this. I think the ending's been spoilt for me though, but that's the internet. So yeah, that was just a current look at my new console and the new console I acquired, and some obscure video games. I could talk about more. There's so many random ones out there that you just kind of go, oh, you could just name them, you could go on and on about them. But again, let me know down in the comments what obscure or weird games that you have that maybe other people don't have, or maybe not even heard of. But yeah, if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe down below for more content. And until my next video, which should be hopefully later this week, thank you for watching and subscribing. Enjoy yourselves, whatever it is you're doing, and take care of yourselves.